those of you who have been around for a while, we went through a couple of series going through like the women through the Bible. And then last year we got on to one race. I remember I did the Joburg to Sea. Okay. And then towards the end of last year, I did one called Transboviance. So tonight, the whole thing is around Transboviance. Okay. So we're going to be talking about that. Can you skip along? But I thought, let me tell you a little bit about me. Because most of you know me, but some of you don't. So firstly, on the left-hand side, that's me. And heck, I was cute. And obviously, that's my mom. Yeah, even my mother was young. Check. Then in the middle, that's me on the right-hand side there. So that was in Matric, just finishing off Matric. And does anybody know Evans Park? Evans Park down the road. That's actually where we lived. And so it's not too far from here. And that was it. Just finishing off Matric, we had to go into the army in those days. And boom, there I ended up in the army. Now, I'm sure some of you have handled a gun, hey? Yeah, but none of you have handled a gun like that. That shoots 600 rounds a second. No. So anyway, that was an interesting time of life. But we got through that, and I went to Sir John. Did anyone here go to Sir John? Yay! 2. 2, 3, 4, yay. Okay, then, yay, I met Megan. So, and she was also a cutie. So anyway, that's us there on the left-hand side. I guess I would have been 19 odd. Megan was in standard 9 then, so however old that is, 16, 17 years old. And anyway, so that was in those days, and that's also when I started working. All right, so, obviously my dad was a minister, my mother was a teacher. There was certainly no money to send us to university. So we had to make a plan on our own. So I went to straight out of army, I went to a place called Van Salem Pritchard, and they had what was like, I think they're still around now, but they had like a 3-month course, but very difficult course to get on. So I was able to get on that particular course, 3-month, very, very intensive training that you went on, and then after that, I actually got a job at Standard Bank. Did anyone here work at Standard Bank? Fussy? Anyone? Other bankers? There we go. So I worked on what was called the branch delivery system. So that when you go into the branch and you see the teller working on a system, that's actually what I worked on. And I was on one particular menu in the branch delivering system, and it was the teller menu. So that's where I learned my stuff. So the middle picture is, Megan and I were like a little bit, not rebels, but rebellish. A bit like Zenzo. A rebel, but not really a rebel. Sorry, Zenzo. I really shouldn't do that. Anyway, so that was at our church. That's my dad behind me there, if you can see that far. But it was a pea party. So Megan and I went pea. You had to go dressed up as something like a pea. So a policeman, you can see behind there's a... P as in just the letter P. So you can see the guy in orange is a prisoner. Can anyone guess what Megan and I went as? That's money in my mouth. No, the pimp and the prostitute. Amongst my group of friends, this pea party still gets discussed. Anyway, then we got married in about it was 1996, and that's us in the top right-hand corner there, and we went on honeymoon in Cape Town. So we're on a yacht in Cape Town there, or a ship. But anyway, just go back again. So during that time, I started off at Standard Bank. So I was able to get a job there, but I didn't start off actually on that branch delivery system. I started off on mainframe programming. Okay, so there we go. The computer guys all know mainframes. That was the big systems that actually banks worked on, but it was quite old technology. And I was the kind of guy that always pushed to get onto the newer stuff. So I think I started at the bank in 1991 odd, and already by about 91, 92, I'd sort of progressed through, the various ranks. And I started off on a language called COBOL. moved my way onto something called natural database. But heck, there was these things called PCs, personal computers, which we now take for granted. But that was just coming out then. I mean, there wasn't a PC in every home. Now every home has not even a PC, but a laptop. Okay, but there was absolutely, I mean, there wasn't cell phones, back in the early 90s. There definitely wasn't something called the internet. That wasn't even like a thought of. The best you did was you phoned people, and it was quite interesting organizing things then, because you couldn't say, I'll call you when I get there, or follow me on Find a Friend. Hey, Barbara remembers. Barbara, you're in my club. I hope. But you actually had to say, I'm going to meet you at that corner at 2 o'clock, and you had to be there at 2 o'clock because there was no ways of contacting anybody. But anyway, during that time, so there were these new things called PCs. Oh, and I wanted to get into it. So at the bank, or when I used to leave the bank at 5 o'clock or whatever, I'd get home and I'd start studying a programming language called C++, because that was actually quite a new language at the time. Now a guy like Beston would go, C++, that's like from the dinosaurs. But no, that was new then. And anyway, so I started getting into that. And then there was this team called BDS, and this was the team to be in. Like they all had PCs on the desk. The rest of us had mainframe green screen terminals. So these guys were like pretty cool. Like this was, I mean, it's a nerdy thing, but this was the guys. They even had a different walk, the way they walked. The way they got coffee out the coffee machine was different. So anyway, it was about a 6-month thing. I had to train myself up in C. Nobody taught me. Then I had to go for exams and tests and so on. And then it took about 6-7 months, and I was able to get into this team. And then it was like the shock of a life. It was stress like I've never had in my life before, working on this team. It was a new system being rolled out. Everything was going wrong. I was in a branch one day, on one of the initial branches that went on the system, and I was telling guys today, at one point, they had 3 customers who climbed on top of the counters. On top of the counter, what sort of system is this? What service are we getting from Standard Bank? Anyway, and there I am, 23. I'm sorry. Anyway, so that was my life. Then what happened was we heard about something called SAP. Has anyone heard of SAP? Not as in South African police, but the system. This is a bit like the Pea Party thing. In fact, just a funny story. When SAP first came out in the country, so, I mean, it was people were getting paid ridiculous amounts of money to be a SAP programmer or person who knows SAP. So you had a lot of policemen applying. We need SAP experience. I've worked at SAP for 10 years. So anyway, like I started hearing about this stuff, and there was a friend of my dad's, and he started telling me about it, and I said to him, listen, have you got some contacts for me? All he did was he gave me numbers, and then it was up to me. I actually started calling each and every one of these. Eventually, I got through to a guy by the name of Dave Wilson, who worked at Deloitte Consulting. Those of you who know Deloitte, Deloitte and Touche, and Deloitte's worldwide. I was able to get in there, send in my CV, and he kind of said, okay, I'm going to give this guy a go. And I got in there, and about the age 24, 25, got into SAP. My first project was at Spoornet, and just started working from there. But even, okay, you can go on to the next slide. But now, even at Deloitte's, I was just never good enough with just, this is what I know. In IT, you get the guys, this is what I know, I'm going to protect my turf. If I know this, I'm not going to teach anybody else. And as long as I know this, I've got my job is safe. That's the idea. Whereas I was always the kind of guy I want to know more. And true's nuts. I started experimenting with stuff on SAP that nobody else in Deloitte's, like worldwide, was even sort of really experimenting. And the World Wide Web was just coming out, so it was this new thing. They just started, Amazon had just been launched. This whole idea of doing stuff on the web was now just becoming, it was a terribly slow thing to work on, but it was just getting there. Communicating was terribly difficult, communicating with SAP. But I was able to sit, and again, I was sitting after hours doing this stuff, and got able to get communication going from a web page into SAP. Now you go, oh, that's a piece of cake, but back then it was so difficult. Just to make that call was as complicated as anything. But again, it was that push always. The next thing I knew, now SAP has their conference at Sun City every year. Deloitte used to go, and all the partners and senior managers used to go along to it. And then the one day, Dave came and said to this guy, Dave Wilson, he was the partner, came and said to me, okay, you coming with us to Safila. That's the SAP conference at Sun City. They'd actually kicked another senior manager off. His name was Simon. Ended up being good friends with him. But they kicked him off and put me on. And yeah, well, I was 26 years old at the time, or 27 years old. So I go along to Safila, and I'm the guy, I'm the expert. That's why I say to guys, sometimes you just need to have confidence. I wasn't the expert. I was 26 years old. I'd done some work, but the next thing, I'm the expert there talking about how to communicate, how to get web pages and e-commerce communicating with SAP. Interesting, eh? And then the next thing, I meet a guy from Spoornet, and he starts asking me, and I show him some stuff. The next thing, we come back from Safila, and we've got a whole project at Spoornet. So we became the first consulting house in South Africa to get an e-commerce job with like a major company. It was a massive thing for Deloitte, but it didn't come from somebody sitting on the couch doing nothing. It actually came from pushing the boundaries and always, I'm going to do better than everyone else. The next thing what happened was a partner in the States, his name was Todd Wood, heard about this. 26, 27 years old, I'm organizing a conference at Deloitte where we're now inviting like all customers from all over the country to come to this conference because we're getting this partner from America to come out and tell us all about e-commerce, and his name was Todd. He came over. Next thing, I'm the guy that's got to take Todd out and entertain him. You can imagine, I'm like 27 years old. Who can do this? And anyway, so we went through all of that, and then like just a few months later, I get a thing saying, Shaun, do you want to come move to Atlanta? Come here for a year, work with us. I want to put you on some of our big projects in the States. So that's where these pictures come from. Is the next thing, it was all in a matter of about 3 months. He wrote the email, I think, in late November, and by around about end of February, we were on a plane going over to Atlanta. Pretty cool, eh? And believe it or not, my position at the time was Global Manager for E-commerce for Deloitte. That's a pretty cool title, eh? So, over there, that's some of the pictures. It's a good friends of ours, Sonia and Bernard. He was actually the manager in South Africa, and he came over. On the left-hand side, that's us on Venice Beach. Anyone heard of Venice Beach in California? It's where all the bodybuilders are. Surely you know the bodybuilders. Arnold Schwarzenegger used to. There we go, that one. Okay, that's a pretty cool one in next there, eh? That's in New York at the Warner Brothers store, and we're copying the Bugs Bunny pose in the background there. Cool picture, eh? And then the next one there is at the White House. We were able to get tickets to go on a tour of the White House. I looked at that picture and went, yeah, we wore funny shorts in those days, huh? Yeah, those were shorts. Wasn't my undies. All right. And anyway, then with us living in the States for a year, things like our family, so that's my mom there, had come over and we went to a baseball game. Pretty much, I think all of our family came over to visit us in that year. Quite a nice experience. And then we had the opportunity to stay, but, Megan couldn't work. They're quite funny with their regulations, and we actually decided to come back. Anyway, so I'm pretty glad I came back because, if you want to go on. All right, because then when we came back, I lasted at Deloitte about, another year or so. And then it was actually the guy on the left-hand side there. You see, we're under the Livingston statue. Any Zimbabweans here? Yay! Have you seen the statue? There we go. That's in Zimbabwe at Victoria Falls. Beston? Yes. Are you too busy writing? Are you taking notes? Okay. All right. Well, the guy you see in the picture on the left, we were on a project together in Maputo. Hey, Marcus, in Mozambique. Do you know Moselle? There we go. So I was there on the SAP implementation when they were busy implementing. And we went for breakfast one night, because they've got the most amazing restaurants in Mozambique. And we went for restaurant. We were having lekker chicken. And then he said to me, Shaun, I think we should resign and start a company. And I went, are you mad? Life is good at Deloitte. Look at the life we're leading. What do you want to resign for? And anyway, then I thought about it over the next little bit. And it was, okay, we're going to resign. And it's quite a it's quite a difficult decision, hey, that how do I just stop my income? And we were lucky enough that that partner I told you about who originally hired me, Dave Wilson, he actually said to us, okay, well, I'm going to fund you guys with your salaries for the next, I think it was 3 months, and I'm going to give you office space for a year and see if you can make it work. And it was quite a, just to jump forward a bit, we actually had lunch with this Dave Wilson about 3 weeks ago. And because at the time, he sort of started about, there was 5 companies like that he didn't even get a stake in it. He just said, I'm going to help you start a business. But we're the only one who's still in existence today. But it was quite nice to have lunch with him and go, yeah, all those, look, we're still, and we're in 5 countries in the world. And so it was quite nice to have a lunch with him, like around that. But anyway, so Willem and I actually started Rapid Trade. That's us on one, I think we had a Christmas, in the days when you're still small, you seem to make money. And then as you get bigger and you hire more people, the costs go up, and the next thing you stop making money. But we were still in the making money days. And so we went up to Victoria Falls for the weekend. So that was him there. And then about a year or 2 later, we thought, we really want to move this thing to another country. And I was able to get an Australian visa. So we got Australian residency and moved across. Our aim was to go for 2 years. We ended up living there for about 5 years. Abby was actually born over there. So anyway, like those of you might think, gee, why do your brothers have kids that are so much older than you? Because, you're not older than Rory, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, with us, kids didn't come initially. With Patrick, they just blink and there's kids. So, same with Denise and Latoya. Fussy just has a cup of coffee and Latoya's pregnant. Okay, so that wasn't the case with us. It took about 11 years for Abby to come along, and then it was another 5 years, so that's why I've put those pictures in. It was another 5 years and miscarriages and so on before Jared came along, and that's why I put the bottom picture in. It takes a long time, but eventually you get there. And when you got there, you think better late than never, and thank goodness I have them now. All right. But anyway, during the Rapid Trade time, it's a difficult time to start a company because you actually, you got a family, you got to pay your mortgage, your home loan. If you got a car, you got to pay car debt, you got to put petrol in your car. Now you're giving this up to actually go into business. So it's quite a scary thing, hey? It is. Now, it was a very difficult process if you actually want to just carry on. Now, I think one of the biggest things that we've kind of figured out over time is, and I think somebody, is it Bishop Oriel, who told everyone who goes to G12, whatever happens in your life is what you do after 5 p.m. Because what do we all want to do after 5 p.m.? We want to go home, put on Netflix, sit on the couch, do absolutely nothing. All right, so that's your biggest, what would you call it, recipe to achieving very little in life. So if you're going to go home at 5 o'clock and now you sit on the couch. So obviously we're talking about a ratio which is called Transboviance. Now, so that's the profile of the race there, the top one in the yellow. So you can see you start in a place called Willowmore and you make your way down to Jeffreys Bay. So it's around about 230 kilometers, the race. So you're doing this in one go. You start at 10 o'clock in the morning and you ride until you stop. The race is a 24-hour race. So the bottom one just underneath it is the map of Willowmore in the Karoo, heading over Boviance Kloof into Jeffreys Bay. And then just to give you an idea of the distance, I've put the map on the right-hand side up. And you can see if you leave Johannesburg and you ride and you almost hit Lesotho, that's how far we cycle on the bike that day. So that's how far you end up going. So you can imagine, you don't just go and somewhere do this, hey? You can somewhere get on your bike and ride 2 Ks. You can't somewhere get on your bike and ride 230 Ks. It doesn't work like that. So if you want to go on to the next one. So training, and I just put there, you don't complete Transboviance sitting on the couch. And it's no different in your business. If you're in a business, and not everyone is necessarily in their own business, but you are in a business or you're working. And I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're packing shelves at Pick n Pay or if you like guys here working in IT in rapid trade, or if you're working in retail, I don't care where you are. Where you end up in life is based on what you teach yourself, not what other people teach you. So you can see there, for us to be able to do Trans-Bavillon, so you can see last year, I've just put, that was the kilometers that I did last year. So it was about 6,000 Ks cycling on a bike last year. It was about 355 hours spent. And you can't quite see this, but on the right-hand side, you can see there's the week that we did Trans-Bavillon, so there's the 230 Ks, that red dot up there. But you can see the weeks leading up to that. You can see 2 weeks before doing about 184 Ks, 3 weeks before doing 170, 4 weeks before doing 127, 5 weeks before doing about 95. So you can see the training has to be there, hey? And we had a fantastic trance. But you're not just going to do this like doing absolutely nothing. And it's no different in business. All right. What do you do? You know, and we're living in this age where training is available for absolutely everybody. Do you want to know how to make a milk tart? You go the ladies all go onto Pinterest. Any man going onto Pinterest, you're not a man. But the women, you can go onto Pinterest. Right. The rest of us will look at it on YouTube. If you want to know how to make lemonade, is that right? If you want to know how to make lemonade, you just go onto YouTube, how do I make lemonade? And there's the whole recipe for you. It's as easy as that, eh? So we live in this age where there's so much available to you in the career that you're in. You know, you might be in retail. I don't know, maybe you're in retail at clothing or whatever the case might be. There's so much that you can do to improve your sales skill in that scenario. Eh? Now, Denise we've been going through a program at Rapid Trade, which everybody has just gone, this has been the most flipping amazing thing ever. Now, we've had people in Rapid Trade going, I don't need that. I'm trained up in sales. I know all this stuff. Hey. Hey, Shaun. But those in the know, those who go, hang on a second, I understand that I need to skill myself up. Hey, you actually just see it, and you see the difference in what we're doing in Rapid Trade now. You see the difference in how we deal with the pipeline. All of this happens purely because we were prepared to actually get training up ourselves. So I was born in 1970, so you can work out how old I am. It's very old. But yeah, I am at this age. We're doing sales courses. Zenzo and I are busy going through an AWS certification at the moment, which is a huge amount of work. But I'll sit up till 11 o'clock at night actually studying. And now you have somebody who's at 25 or 24 saying, I don't have the time to study. And guys, you're just missing out. I don't care whether you got your own business or whether you got a job. You have to skill yourself up. It's actually your responsibility. It's easy to progress in your place. It's easy to get promotions. Okay, step number 1 is you have to arrive before everybody else. Step number 2, you have to leave after everybody else. And they normally say it's 15 minutes. Even if you're 15 minutes before the general person arrives, you're going to be seen as great. Even if you leave 15 minutes afterwards, they talk about it in studies. Just doing that, arrive 15 minutes before everyone, leave 15 minutes after everyone, and you'll be the first one up for promotion. I promise you. I don't care what the job is. All right. So with this, you look at, and especially if you're wanting to start a business, one of the big questions you need to be asking, like, what was the problem I was trying to solve? I wanted to finish Trans-Bavillons. So to do that, but I knew what the problem was. So you have to know, if you're going to start a business, what's the problem that you're solving for somebody? Okay, the most basic thing of sales is, what's the need, pain, or gain that I'm going to help this person with? Does he need this? What is he going to gain by me selling this to him? And what pain am I solving? So if you can't actually figure those things out, then you don't have a business. So I have a lot of people coming and talking to me about wanting to start businesses. But very often they can't quite articulate with you what's the need, pain, or gain, and how am I going to solve this? Very often, we can figure out all the calculations, where the millions are going to come from, and what am I going to do with all these millions, but we haven't figured out how we're actually going to sell this thing. And the biggest lesson I always speak to guys is your accounting can be bad. So if your accounting is bad, I promise you're not going to grow and you're going to spend all your money, but it's still okay. If you give poor service, again, you're going to cause yourself problems. You're going to battle to grow. You're not going to get customers coming back to you, but it's okay. But if you can't sell, you toast. So the question, those of you that have ever come to me with a business idea, my first question is, who are you going to sell this to and how are you going to sell it? Because without sales, there is absolutely no business whatsoever. And guys, it's no different for you in a workplace, is how are you actually selling yourself? I promise you, anyone, I don't care what school you went to, I was talking to Clorny, Bernice's brother-in-law, Matthew. He went to like a remedial school. What's his position now? Is he the national sales manager? He's the national sales manager for a company called BCE. I don't care my son, Jared, is a remedial student. But we're just helping him in life in terms of how he's progressing, because I don't care where you come from, how bad off you think you were. I don't care any of that. Is you can actually progress in life and you can make it. A guy like Matthew, which is Bernice's brother, I promise you there was no big money there. Eh? There was no big money. A guy like that, there wasn't even money to get to university, nothing like that. All right, but actually look how well he's done. It's actually quite inspirational when you talk to him specifically. Eh? So guys, figure that out with training, and you've got to be training yourself up all the time. If you think I've got my matric and that's lacquer, then it's very wrong, okay? The matric, unfortunately, is it's an entry into university, but that's about it. It like opens a little bit of a door. If you're getting a university degree, again, it opens a couple of doors for you, but it means very little once you actually get into the workplace. Certainly, hey, you're going to become a doctor or a lawyer or something, get a degree. If you're going to do my teeth because you're a dentist, I hope you have a degree. Not some guy with YouTube there. How do I do a filling? Right. Can you imagine you're a psychologist, eh? Oh, this is terrible. Okay, let me YouTube quickly. Now, the one lesson that I've learned, hey, is don't train on your own. So that's a big thing. You can see there that when we trained for Transparviance, we got a big group. We trained together. You can see there we had support. There you see Megan at the bottom actually coming along one day when we were doing a very long ride, bringing us food and drinks and all that. But you have to get together with people, and you have to learn how to do this as a group. So I've put up there on the right-hand side, you won't be able to see it, but there's our Slacks and our WhatsApps that are going on at the moment with our studying that Zenzo and I are doing. And you can see there's this constant communication, there's this talking. And what you end up doing is creating this vibe, like around the people that are doing it with you. So don't do this sort of stuff on your own, because who gets up in the morning on their own and just goes and runs 10Ks? Not too many people. So you've got to get people with you, because people energize each other. Does that make sense? So you can see at the bottom there, like our study with mind maps. So you can see there's my mind maps, if you can see it at the bottom, of what I've put together in terms of what's everything that's needed around the certification. Okay, but get together with people. And especially if you've got your own business, just don't do this on your own. All right, get together with people. If I can say to the people in Rapid Trade, when you're studying for your certifications, do that. Get together with other people. That's how I got my degree, is Gavin and I did it together. Can I give you the secret? Every year we would do 2 subjects. Eh? Gavin would do one, I would do the other. I would give him my assignments, he would give me his. And about 4 weeks before the exams, we'd get together and I'd teach him everything and he would teach me everything of his. And that's how we got our degrees at UNISA. Okay, but there we go. We got it, eh? All right, carry on. So now you get to start your business. Woohoo! You're trained up. You're ready to give it horns. And off you go. Okay, so now we're going to just watch a quick 3-minute video. That's okay. If there's no sound, I'll talk you through it. All right. So this race, guys, is quite a little. It's a cultural phenomenon. In that particular, it's almost taken on like a cult type status. Now you can see that's the kind of area that you actually go through. You go through what's called the Trans or the Bovians Kloof, through the nature estate. This is the little town in the Karoo that you actually start with. And you can see you start off and it's actually quite easy because there's a little hill that you go over, but then you actually do a huge amount of downhill and it's just you absolutely flying down these places. Gorgeous, eh? Doesn't it make you want to go mountain biking? So there we go. That's where you're going through. All right. Now you enter the Bovians Kloof Nature Reserve. Now things change. It becomes a bit more rocky. The hills come in. Work, cook. Just look at that. You don't have time to spot the kudu because you're too tired. So they only show that on the cameras because you don't see it when you're on the bike. Eh? And then you start your climbs, eh? Yeah, look at those mountains that you go over. Yeah, so it's fantastic. Oh, just look at that. Yeah, this hill is called the mother of all climbs. So you have to take lights with you because you end up riding in the night. Not as bad as what it sounds because the lights are actually quite bright. And this is going into an area called Bergplaats. And this is about 130 odd Ks into it. And you get to this point and it's 130 Ks and then it's like, oh, we still got another 100 to go. It's a fair whack, eh? Right, but they have like amazing fires and you get these boxes that you put your stuff in so you can actually dress warmly because by now it starts getting cold. All right, and then you start with the downhill sections again. But come on, guys, that's gorgeous, eh? Eh? We live in a beautiful country, eh? That's how I went down, by the way, in the dark, not in the light. Okay, so it's a long, long way, but if you look at all the cyclists there, you can see the smiles on the faces. And then we have the final climb. It's actually called Never Ender. And I think it's about 15 Ks. Like, there we go. They're on Never Ender. It's about 15 kilometers, and you're just basically climbing for like 15 kilometers, eh? Yeah. Yeah, you have to be fit for this, eh? And then you finish. Yay! Woohoo! There we go. Okay, thanks, Lorne. You can stop it there. Okay, do you just want to get back to the right slide? So pretty cool, hey? It is cool. Yeah, no, if you're fit, then you actually do it and you quite enjoy it. Yeah. Patrick, it's like going boxing. So, if you look at the profile there, having your own business, so there on Transbovians, the first bit is quite easy. Now, why I put the money in there is because everybody wants money. It's like, somebody give me money so that I can start a business. Do you remember Gavin doing a talk a while back? If he had a rand for everyone that came and said, I need a bucky. And true starts, after that particular service, somebody came to me, no, I want to start a mechanic, but I need a bucky. Weren't you listening to Gavin? All right, so everybody thinks they need venture capital to start, but we never had. Okay, we had a little bit, but I mean in terms of salary, but nobody gave us a big wad of cash. But the trick that you need to do is when you start your business, this can't be your only source of income. It's the biggest reason why I think it's 9 out of 10 odd businesses fail, is because I'm giving everything up and now I'm starting a business, and it doesn't work. All right, very few people can start a business like that. Rory and I, we contracted on the side, and you can ask the Rapid Trade guys, probably for about, 7, 8, 9 years. And we self-funded the business as it got started. So Rory and I had to work in the day, we had to work on the evenings, and then eventually we hired one person, then along came Zenzo, and we slowly but surely started like adding to the number. But we only hired people when we could afford to do it. But we didn't just give up our job. Yeah, we did give up our jobs, but we had contracting to go to. So we were able to continually bring in money. And that's how you make it a lot easier. So when people always come with, I need, 300,000 Rand to start a business, you go, man, if I give you 300,000 Rand, you're actually just going to blow 300,000 Rand. Not that I just have 300,000 Rand to give. But your average person, you got to build a business. It takes time. It doesn't just happen like this overnight. And there's very few people out there. When you hear about the venture capital successes, what you don't hear about is the 5, 6, 7 years before that where they were working till 3 o'clock every morning to get the business going. All right. Okay, next slide. Now, you got to get to the point that you see it through. Because if you can keep yourself going with your business, so you've got your job, or your wife's working, or your husband's working, and you're able to actually start a business on the side, then you get to the hills. So there we go. Those are the hills that you saw. People walking up, and that one's called Fangs, and that one with the green one there that's the mother of all climbs. And what happens is you got to see it through those tough periods, because you get that portion now where it's, hang on, I can't be doing the other work. I've got to be doing this. But now it starts becoming tough, because now the profit starts disappearing very quickly. And what was good is now like, oh, heck, and we went through this in about 2014 with Rapid Trade. I think Rory and I, there was 4 months that year that we went without salaries, that particular year, as we were actually trying to transition out of contracting into Rapid Trade, like on a full-time basis. And you see that green arrow there. That's where 9 out of 10 businesses give up. If they just stuck around a little bit longer, they would have made it and they start sailing down the hill. But that's the point that they give up. So it starts getting difficult. So they can't get over those first. They can maybe get over the first little one, but now it comes to this first real test. And what do? They give up. And if I can go through the amount of businesses that I've seen over the years where it's just stick around and it's now just easier to go and get a job or whatever the case might be. All right, so if you're going to be starting a business, you've got to understand how tough it's going to be. You've got to understand that I've got to be able to bring in income. I've got to be able to sell and get this thing going on its own. And when that tough time comes and it's now that decision to, listen, am I going to do this or I'm going to do that? And by the way, there's no right or wrong, because you can be in a company and do extremely well for yourself. So there's nothing wrong with either way. But if you're going to start a business, you've got to see it through those sort of first humps. All right, and when 9 out of 10 people are giving up, man, if they had just carried on for another 2-3 months, like things would have kicked off. All right, so finally, you get through that. Oh, sorry, just go back again. Sorry, man. So I just wanted to say there, one of the things you do need is a chairman of the board. So we had Gavin. All right, we were floundering. I was living in Australia. Rory was living here. We were useless when it came to accounts. We never had any board meetings. No decisions were ever made. And Gavin came across to Hillsong, and I said to him, won't you actually come into Rapid Trade and be the chairman and start bringing structure to us? So Gavin was actually the guy that then started having board meetings. And I remember once, the day before, sending out an email saying, I'm too busy to do the board meeting. Yes, I got a call from Gavin. What's this? It's a board meeting. What the hell are you doing? Okay, we'll have the board meeting. But you need somebody, and you need to understand that they must be accountable. So I remember in like the early sort of years, Gavin would be telling me to do things, and I'd be like resisting. And it took a while to understand. If he's telling you to do something, it's actually the right thing to do. And I was telling Zenzo earlier, there was one board meeting we were in. You might have even been there already. And Gavin saying to me, what's that? What's those expenses? And I'm going, I don't know what these why are you asking me what the expenses are? But you're the MD. Yeah, but how must I know this rubbish? and like we had quite a fight on this. And true's nuts, about 2 years later, I know every expense that goes through the book. There is nothing that I actually don't understand what's actually happened. And not only that, we're now to the point that we're sort of tracking it on a weekly basis, and we get everything working through systems that we understand exactly sort of where we're at. Because that old saying, if you don't watch your accounts, your company will die. You'll actually feel like a hamster. You're running, you're working, and I'm not making any money. And I see this in a lot of the guys where they've started like their own little business, but they don't track anything. They don't track a job. Have I made a profit on the job? If you have to say to them, do you know what your income is versus your expenses on this particular job? In general, they'll come to me with, no, I don't. So that's when you become the hamster. It's like I'm working, but the money just seems to like disappear. And then the second thing is, guys, you can't treat, if you're going to start a business, you can't treat that business account like it's your personal account. You have to take, that's the two most important things, is have your accounts there, and you got to treat that business like a business. You can't just be, okay, I need some petrol now. Okay, I'm going to movies. You got to, the business is the business. You take your salary, and that's how you actually deal with the business. All right, those. You know what? At the end of the day, you got to decide: do you want a business that's going to grow, or do you want a little lifestyle thing on the side that's going to stay with you and one or two other people? You got to make that decision, because growth in a business, it's a very purposeful thing. It's like, I want this business to grow. I want to double the income over the next 2 or 3 years, and to do that takes like a lot of discipline. And you've got to get out of the mold. I mean, it's been a big thing. Rory and I, over the last 4 or 5 years, have had to totally change our mindset from when there was, just like maybe 5 or 6 of us around about, was it 2012? I think there was about 6 or 7 of us in the company, whereas now we sit sort of closer to 40 between the people that we have in Australia and overseas and so on. So there's a whole mind shift change that you actually need to do in your business. But then you start getting there, guys. And you start having the successes. Okay, for us, it was finishing the race at about 11:30 at night. But you feel like $1 million when you actually start getting, and you start going, I can't believe it. We've got into Pioneer. We've got into Sasco. Like the Sasco delivery trucks that you see use our software. And you start going, how did we get this right, And I'm sure you feel it. The guys who actually work at Rapid Trade will probably also feel it as well, in terms of like, 2 years ago I was in school not knowing what the heck I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm busy debugging Visual Basic code, sending orders into Supergroup Convenience, where we send through R1 billion worth of orders a year. So I think what you get in yourself and what you're able to do for yourself it becomes mind-blowing when you start seeing 2-3 years down the line. I was chatting to Charles today, So if we think that about 7 years ago, he was on the matric course and and you look here he is today, he's got a license, he's bought a car, he's got a wife, got a child. You know what? There's so much that you can make such good progress in your life. Doesn't matter what your background is. I promise you, Charles didn't have a great background. Okay, there was no big daddy there with lots of money or big mommy throwing it at him. Everything he had to do on his own. And then the final thing is, your family's got to be with you, eh? I'm lucky. I married an awesome wife. she has been so support. Like, if I think how many women would, if the husband just like picks up this fantastic job, I think the salary when I left Deloitte's was X, and you got to divide that by 4. And when I started with Rapid Trade, my salary went down 4 times. Not many women were just like. In fact, the guy started with Willem. Within 3 years, he was out. The main reason was his wife was, "You're not earning enough money." Megan was like, "You just carry on. You just carry on pushing it through." And all through the years, she's always been very, listen, you've started this thing. You've got to like finish it. You've got to like stick at this. That's the kind of wife she's been. So we've done the same thing in cycling as well. Is like the family comes along with the ride as well. So they don't cycle 230 Ks, but you can see there they come along. There we go, Megan rode a race on the left-hand side there, medal. We're taking a happy photo. The kids love coming out with me. Absolutely fantastic. So they enjoy it. And there's Abby's selfie. She's the selfie queen. I'm sure there's a few other women who take as many selfies as you. It was Abby, but I doubt it. She does, eh? Everything's a selfie. All right. So, guys, I think that's my talk. So I think the main, if you just want to think about those few points, is you can start your own business on your own, and you do not need venture capital. Secondly, if you got a job in a company, that's fantastic. You can actually do brilliant at that job. You got to arrive earlier than everyone else, and you got to go home later than everyone else. Secondly, just like you train for a bicycle race, you've got to skill yourself up. I promise you, everything is there. There's sites like, has anyone heard of Udemy? Yeah. Udemy. Okay. I don't care what you're doing. There's a course for you on Udemy. And they come at amounts of like 50 Rand to 100 Rand. All right. The the certifications that our guys are getting in rapid trade, the Amazon certifications, are honestly worth more than degrees. All right, we've got a guy like Kevin that's had job offers from Amazon for crying in a teacup. He's only got a matric, actually, but he's got 5 certifications that make it more valuable even than a degree. So there's a lot that you can actually do to honestly skill yourself up like you can't believe. But the biggest thing you can teach yourself in life is how to train yourself up on various things, because everything is available for you to do it. I generally have questions that I'll ask the guys all the time. What book are you currently reading? And what are you doing to actually skill yourself up? Okay. And then, when you start the business, you've got to get your business going without expecting somebody to give you a pot of money. It didn't work for me. Nobody gave me money. We still haven't had anyone give us a big pot of money yet. And when you do it, as you hit those hills for the first time, you've got to be able to stick it through and actually get over the hills. All right. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.
Salvation's calling, Jesus is here, redemption is here, my healing is here, His grace has saved us, His peace sustains us, His mercy